All right,
So
so
special commanders were banned or what?
No,
no,
you can use them. You just don't get all the abilities from them, just the
Oh,
skills.
yeah. And it's the same for COTS and everything else because it's a training room. So, all right. So main armaments mod, engine boost, aiming systems, propulsion, concealment, and guns. I mean that's pretty much what you would do with the Marceau, right?
Pretty standard, yeah.
Yeah. Um, the Marceau, it's a fast destroyer. It's got the American style 127mm guns versus the French style 149 caliber,
Yeah, the better
whatever it is.
ballistics.
Right, that like you have that with the Kleber, so you trade that for maybe an all-arounder. Um, so, in any case, you're doing main battery because you want to assassinate whatever destroyer you run into, as long as it's really close to you. You should be able to hit it. If it's farther away, unless it's sitting still, good luck, right?
Right, yeah, and that's literally what Chuck and I plan to do with him and a Kleber. You take the Marceau, you put it in front because it outspots anything that would remotely be a threat to it. And
Right.
anything that outspots you, you just run at it and kill it.
Now, I can't remember. I thought you were using one of the special captains. I don't
Yeah,
remember.
I used the adrenaline rush when one of
Okay.
the
Honore.
yeah.
Okay. So, and you can see here, so that does buff the adrenaline rush slightly, which is kind of handy considering you know you're probably going to take some damage. So there you go. So your commander skills, you've got... Sorry, Stevie just ate, so of course he wants on my lap. Oh, there he is.
is this
So,
the same build you would use in a random battle?
I probably wouldn't take RPF. I'd swap RPF for AFT, me personally.
I'd agree.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, I don't have the ship, it was genuinely curious.
So, the extra range helps, again, against ships that are sitting still. But, otherwise, I don't... Personally, I never found that the extra range was extremely helpful. Radio
Shells are
location,
floaty.
that's the problem. Radio location is, especially in a competitive environment, the better choice. So, anyway, everything here is what I would absolutely take on a gunboat brawling destroyer. So that makes sense. And then for flags, anti-det, ramming, fire flood, fire reduction, flood chance, fire chance, speed, and consumables. I don't think there's anything here you're missing either.
Not
Okay.
for this environment, for sure. For random battles, I can see actually the AA flags, because Marceau AA is sneaky decent.
Oh yeah. That is a good point.
Especially with the defensive fire again.
Now, this is a game that we cast earlier today in Team League. That's right, Danny Love. Stevie's on camera. So this is us versus Team Blood Minister. Need to fix my HUD stuff again. There you go.
Is that the... Which of the... That was a round of 16 game or like round of 8 game, that was playoffs.
Yes, this is today's playoffs. This is the second game we cast today. Just before this, Opie sent me a message saying, essentially, you're going to expect something fun from us.
What was the standing in this? Like, was this the first game? Was it 0-0?
This was game 2. We had to win it. A must-win game.
That's correct.
It's important to know. It changes the strategy.
Well, and the reason I sent Zach that message is Chuck and I decided at the beginning, hey, look, we're gonna have to take a puzzle piece off the board to make this competitive. So we ran the DD gank squad with Marceau Kleber, and before the game, I said, Chuck, this is our last chance to get the fastest kill in the match, and this is a decent time to do it because these guys like to run like fast cap A with a club. And it's faster than a Ragnar. That's why we don't like running a Ragnar with the club, because the Rag can't keep up.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Now,
and that's exactly what happened.
There's a special prize for the fastest kill, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I think it's like 50,000 gold to the guy who gets it.
So, obviously, why not go for it? It's your last chance. Possibly your last chance. but also helps you get a win if you're able to trap this guy and nail him early.
Right. And you'll see me check over my shoulder right there to make sure that we're gonna have that he's actually cleared the rock and can help me with the fight. So you'll see me glance over my shoulder just a few seconds ago to make sure that I had the help.
One thing that I want to ask you before we get too much farther, what was the decision behind putting the Moskva at that position on Gulf 4?
Right. So the overall strategy of this was we're going to try and absolutely crush something at A.
Right.
Hopefully that lets us cap it, right? But if it doesn't, we still have a Moskva there that's only a radar buoy. Like his whole job is to radar the cap and be annoying, because after we get a pick, ideally, we either cap it for free or we're leaving. And both of those, it kind of behooves you to have a Moskva there. But really, he's on that side of the rock, not only as a radar buoy, is to keep him safe from anything they put at A, and to support our main push, which is on the other flank. So you'll see Chuck and I rotate away after we get done at A, and you'll see the Moskva kind of do something a little different than maybe what the call was.
Okay, and that was why I was curious, because basically he sat out there, just got shot at by the Hindenburg and the Montana, and I remember thinking to myself, like, if he was on the other side of the island, not only is he helping you guys more, like the enemy team's Moskva we'll see that in a second, but he's also not gonna, be open to cross-map battleship shots. So
Right.
Yeah, I don't. It looks weird here because like the vast majority of the enemy team is gonna be able to shoot him when he's on this side of the island,
exactly.
whereas he would be safe on the other side. Like, what do you expect to shoot him from the left side that you need to cover it?
Well, either way, Chikwama gets to collect some coal now,
Yep. By 3 whole seconds.
and you're trying desperately not to get shot at here.
Yes. And I mean, we obviously know the enemy Ragnar player. He's a good player. So I'm kind of nervous here, and really hoping I don't get a permafire after, because I had to DCP a double right there.
Right.
But I didn't.
And you got very lucky there. We saw Vile basically run rampant through the rest of the tournament, so it was interesting to see. So, okay, so you guys have gotten your kill. You've backed off of A. I mean, Chuck is still getting shot at, but he's not going to lose the ship.
No.
So, what's the decision making now?
So now you look at the board and you go, all right, so they've got 3 radars at A, and neither of us have the HP to do anything. We are leaving. We immediately called for the home cap rotation. Now you see me desperately wish I had both racks of torpedoes here. I desperately remember, because I was like, man, he's going to go cap, so I'm going to dump some torps there.
I couldn't believe.
I don't think that trade was worth it. Like that kill, you lost so much hit points for it.
Well,
and you're
keep
still
watching.
not even getting, and you're still giving up the cap.
Well, the problem is that because the enemy team deployed so heavy to A, there's no choice but to give up. If the enemy team had deployed heavier to the C side, B side, then, this would have been a different situation.
And the reason that we're okay taking trades like that is we're both French, right? So French DDs with any HP are still an incredibly large threat, simply for the rotation power. You'll see me call out. Well, you can't hear our comms, but I called out that I got a torp on the Ragnar, which kind of comes into play later.
Right, because we remember that. Blood and I we commented about that, and we're like, wait a minute, what? How did that happen?
Yeah. So if you look to our other flank, you see the push going well. As soon as we realized that they were committed to A, we called the straight up, all the way, let's go, hold W push.
Now, why was it that the Schlieffen just sat so long without using his guns?
We didn't want them to know that we were pushing that, right? Because the sooner they know we shoved a battleship through the channel, the faster they pull everything away from A. So the Nevsky is over there in Narnia doing absolutely nothing.
Yep.
And that's where we want him to stay.
Okay. So you have Step Citadel smoked up by the gearing, and he's going to sit there. The reason that I found that interesting is obviously that's more time that the two Marcilli's are going to be farmed, and I think it was Conde Gaspar who was getting shot at this time.
Right.
But your gearing's able to go in to see, no problem.
Yep, we pushed everything off for him. And you'll look, I mean, our Marseilles are trading incredibly well. The Hindi's on life support, and our lowest Marseille is like no health, has lost almost nothing. You see our Moskva has started to run away as well.
What's interesting, though...
Go ahead.
What's interesting is that the Hindenburg almost dies, and then it looked like maybe somebody called out that he was dead, and nobody, people stopped shooting him. He actually got a heal off.
Such is life sometimes, right?
Right.
Yeah. We have to confirm kills. We can't assume that they'll die.
No.
You see me being really cautious here because I know Ragnar's coming back, and I really, really don't want to get caught out.
Well, yeah, plus you're on the extreme range of that Moscow. If he just W'd forward a little bit more, you never know.
Right. So here you see, I think right about now is when we call the gearing to come back and smoke our Schlieffen into the cap so he can get guns on Moscow. That's about now is when that happens.
Okay. What was it with Step Citadel constantly using Schlieffen, by the way? Was that just what he wanted to do, or...?
No, that's what we wanted him to do. We gave him the choice on most maps, either a Schlieffen or a St. Vincent. But we used a Napoli a lot, so it kind of meant we couldn't take St. Vincent. But most of our strategies involved the Marseilles pushing super hard in one place and being supported by the Schlieffen.
Okay.
Just raw presence, right? And then the maps where we didn't need that, we took Montana.
Okay.
Now you watch this focus fire. This focus fire is incredible. So we call all guns on Vile, and he evaporates.
And you're behind the island, so he can't even see you. Nobody can shoot back at you.
Right. And that's
Nevsky
why I
hasn't moved
there.
forward yet.
Yeah. I mean, you just watch him. I mean, we kill him through a heal. It was excellent. One of our best focus fires of the entire tournament.
I would say so. I would agree.
We weren't sure why he did that, because best case he traded himself for the gearing, but he had to know we had everything there. But I don't know.
It might go back to what we were talking about, the Schlieffen, right? Not knowing that the Schlieffen is exactly there.
Right.
Even so, you're right, though. I mean, there's still a Marseille and another Marseille up there, plus gearing.
And you don't know where Chuck and I are.
Right.
And Chuck just sent me a message. I don't know if you saw it on the mini map, but he actually had the cursed could only ping and not shoot bug.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, but he fixed it. But if you can't back up. But there's a bunch of pings on the mini map.
I did notice he was pinging a bunch. Okay.
Yeah, that's what he was doing, trying to fix it.
Huh.
Fuck this.
Now, this is when I got nervous because I knew the Nevsky was coming. And I didn't want to get trapped by any radar, but I also didn't want to take my guns out of the fight. So this was like the best place I could be. And then I noticed that Moscow was hitting W. And I literally told our Schlieffen, I said, look, you're going to be my armor for a little while.
Well, not only that, but Chukwama also hitting W at the same time was a thing of beauty. And I couldn't believe our Marseille up to the north there. I was watching him, expecting him to take the ram on the Montana. He starts shooting at the Mosfet. I'm like, dude, keep your eye on the ball. Right? Yeah. Because it's very easy to miss that ram if you're too busy shooting at somebody else. It's not the case, and here we go. We get the ram kill, and Chukwama dies, but not before he dumps his torpedoes. Beautiful.
And then we say, everybody's like, oh no, they're in B. I'm like, give it up, man, or whatever cap that is. See? Yeah, it's one cap. I mean, we're up by 400, 500 points. We don't care at all about that. They have to push us.
Right. And you can just walk right back to A now. Who cares what your head point is, you know?
Right, and that's where I'm going, right? You see me start turning just as insurance in case something weird happened.
But with the Nevsky being detected, obviously we know where he is. We know that there's a destroyer in the C cap, so, I mean, you've got plenty of time to relocate now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even need to. Like, the only way to stall this out for the red team here is if they're giving rushes straight through the channel through all your ships into the B cap, or they kill a ship.
Right.
Otherwise, you just win this on the one cap
Now,
very, very quickly.
It's funny you mention this because at this point, I look over and I see the Kondigaspar is moving a little too far forward, trying to help get the kill on the Nevsky. And that comes in handy in a minute because there's actually gearing torpedoes heading his direction.
Right. So you remember the torp on the Ragnar, right?
Yeah.
That's the difference of him showing up full health and picking the gearing and getting
Yep.
away with it, and then him dying. So
Yep.
it turned out to be fortuitous for us.
Absolutely.
But it was a fun game. We enjoyed it.
I mean, this is one of the few games that Blood Minister's team lost, and this forced a game 3 that was, quite frankly, a wild and crazy game that could have easily gone either way. So,
yeah, and you know, just some insight into the comms on that game. A lot of that came down to positioning and just a few little miscommunications.
Yep.
And it just, that's the difference between wins and losses. I mean, straight up, we had a Moskva who didn't quite understand where he needed to tuck into, and a DM who got distracted, and those two things swung the game and put us on the back foot, right?
Yep. But that happens in any competitive. I think you see that it happens more often, I would say, in something like Team League, because you've got players that aren't used to playing with each other.
Oh yeah,
You're showing the wrong render.
I am. I just realized that. Hold on a second.
I was wondering how someone snuck a Nustrashimi into Team League.
There's the right render. But yeah, I gotta say, overall, it was fun to watch. I when you said watch this, I'm just thinking, oh, this might be interesting.
Still think you lost too much hit points for that trade today.
Well, the difference is that Moskva, right? If the Moskva was on the other side of the island, could help kill that Marceau earlier, help shoot the Ragnar, you know, that gives Obi and Chuck the opportunity to get out quicker. Because you guys basically took a 2-on-4.
Yeah, and just a note, right? There's two things that went. So I'll respond to the first thing of him being on the other side of the rock. Yeah, he could have been. He could have been on the other side of the rock, but the goal was for us never to play for A, right? We were playing for B. So in our opinion, you put a Moskva on the other side of the rock when you need its like staying presence there. But we were never going to leave him there. We needed him to be able to run away much easier. And he was never supposed to really pop up and take the shot. So him leaving with 75% health, he should have been leaving with 100, right?
Right.
That's kind of the difference. We put him there as a radar buoy, not to help us with the fight. We knew even if it was 2-on-2, we were willing to gamble that Chuck and I could make the difference and pull it away, right? If they did a smoke Nevsky, which they've been doing every game in the tournament, then we wanted the Moskva there in case like a gearing showed up, right? That was our logic. He was never meant to help us take the gunfight.
Okay.
It's really hard to kill 2 French DDs quickly before they do what they need to do.
It feels like if they, I don't know, like it's hard to tell just from this. You need to see it from the enemy perspective. But I think like they split the damage up between you two, which was to your advantage. If their focus fire was better, you trade 1-for-1 here and cripple one of your destroyers.
Well, no, they only shot me. Their focus fire was really good. But when I went dark, Chuck had still been engaging the Ragnar. And so he was lit a good 15 seconds longer than I was. He didn't take a lick of damage. So watch his health bar. He doesn't start taking damage until I stop taking damage.
Right.
He was trying to bait them to shoot me so that I could get away. So watch my health bar, watch his health bar. He's full, he's full, he's full, he's full. Now he's starting to take damage after I've disengaged.
Were you dark at this moment? Okay.
Yeah, I was dark for a bit after Chuck started taking damage.
All right,
So
fair enough.
their focus fire was really good. They
And-
tried to kill me when I was off the table.
Mhm.
Chuck started taking damage, and in hindsight, right, 2020, Chuck doesn't shoot at the Ragnar. Chuck probably leaves with 80, 85% of his HP.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
they
fair
played it
enough.
well.
And the Mossville also, like you mentioned, opening up. You saw there he opened up, but by the time he opened up, it didn't matter, right?
Right,
The damage was done, so all that did was get him farmed at for a while.
right.
Cool. Well, I appreciate you coming in and helping talk through this because it was a crazy game to cast, and it's nice being able to do a deep dive on this, like what we did with COTS.
Yeah, and you know, I enjoy this because explaining the game and I guess kind of defending or explaining choices to people that didn't hear anything and are watching from the bird's eye, it
Mm.
helps us understand how to be better callers, right? Because I mean, Chuck and I are two of the main callers for Bonks Z now. So anytime we get experience helping or learning how other people see the game, it helps us do our jobs better.
Absolutely. Plus, in a situation like this, when you got people from all walks of life in the game, it also kind of helps to figure out like how can I explain things so people understand what you're trying to make happen, right?
Yeah, and frankly, you know, just to expand on that a little bit, our captain, Conde something or other,
Uh-huh.
he was the guy in the next game who played the Moskva and didn't quite get the position right.
That's right.
And yeah, he kind of argued with us a little bit after the game. And it's not like I'm airing dirty laundry, right? He knows we talked about this.
Mhm.
And I just kind of disengaged, right? Because he nobody was in the moment to listen and learn. But I messaged him privately and I was like, hey man, I know you're trying to improve as a player, right? That's a good thing.
Mhm.
And I like to help people who want that help. So when the emotions are gone and we've had some time to sleep and think about it, let's go over how that Moskva position can be stronger because that rock we had in play has a little nook that totally
Yes.
protects you from almost everything. And he played in front of it. And
Right.
once I can explain that to him, I think that'll be a good lesson.
Well, and even when I was casting it, I kept saying, "Dude, back up, get around, come on, keep going." And he didn't. He just sat. And so,
Yep.
you know, I'm right there with you. I understand what you're talking about, but that's the hard part is unless you're actually like in game and he's watching you and you put your ship there or you fly the camera over there, he doesn't really understand why that specific point.
Right. I totally agree. And that's one of the fun things about playing in tournaments like this. And we
Mhm.
told everybody on day one, Chuck and I made the strats and we asked Conde, we were like, look, man, you're the captain. We're not going to step on your toes. We're here to help if you want. And he was like, you guys run the show. Like, I'll do all the administrative stuff.
Yeah.
I'm here to help. Like, we all want to have fun. And I told him, we both told the team, guys, we're not going to do this super duper sweaty. We want to have some fun
Mhm.
and use this as a growth opportunity. And everybody agreed that that was the way to look at it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And when I picked Conde as the team leader, he's a friend of mine, a personal friend. I've met him in real life twice. But he even put in to be a team leader out as a joke. He told me after I already picked him. Like he wasn't even planning on being picked. And so I said, well, we had talked when I was hanging out with him a few weeks back in the summer. He had talked about, he wanted to get some experience with tournaments and stuff. And I'm like, well, here you go. Like
Yeah.
right off the deep end. Have fun. All right. Well, hey, thanks, Obi, for jumping in and hanging out. This was a lot of fun to go through.
Yeah. I'm happy to help and do this. I enjoy doing this. Thanks for being a good guy in the community.
All right, fair enough. You're welcome, and I guess I'll see you next time, whatever that is. If that's, are you doing Warship Masters?
No, it's first I've
That's
no.
okay.
I haven't been paying attention to it.
That's this coming weekend, and then after that, there's the WoW's Classic. Uh, I think it's in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I don't know. Lots of
What is
tournaments.
WoW's Classic? Only USN and IGN ships allowed?
No, WoW's Classic is you dial the game back by release by like I think it's like 2 or 3 years. So you're only allowed to play ships that were in existence at the time of, whatever that patch cycle was that they cut it off at.
Oh,
Yeah, I know, right?
that's
So
kind of
some
fun.
It's kind of a neat idea, right? Then you kind of go back in time. So
What tiers is that?
10. Last time it was 10. They might change that. I don't know. So, all right. Well, let's move on
Yep.
to the next.